This is System 1, Week 4. This is going to be the arpeggio. So we're in the E form now. So we're going to be going out of the key of G. And again, the E form is like the big cowboy chord. So the arpeggio for this form is going to be this. Now, one note on that, two notes actually. When you go through that form, sometimes I'm going to use my fourth finger for these two notes here, and sometimes I use my third finger. And actually, you know, in these systems, I'm very exacting with the fingers, I tell you, and stuff like that. But even on the videos, sometimes I make mistakes and don't do the fingerings that I say. But for practicing, it's better if you use the same fingers over and over again. Don't get random, because it'll help you in your programming. It's trying to program muscle memory. When you're actually playing, though, you just don't think about fingers at all. Like, whatever, you could play with your nose and try to get a finger, you know, whatever finger it takes to get to that note is really the key for it. So, you know, sometimes if I'm playing, I might go here if I'm going to go into a different, you know, arpeggio or something like that. And sometimes I might go here if I'm going to slide up or something, but I don't even think about those things. They just sort of come out, which is what you want in these technique studies. You know, when you're doing the technique studies like these, you want to, as Miles said, learn them and unlearn them. Like, you want to learn this stuff, really have the stuff, you know, under your belt, but then you don't want to think about the stuff at all when you get into the land of improv. You really want to be able to have just a direct connection from ears and your head into your fingers and what's coming out without really having any thought about it. I know that sounds impossible for some of you, but it really does happen. Just like at one point in time, you probably thought about language and structure and stuff like that, you know, when you're taking English in school, or especially if you learned a foreign language. But eventually, if you get good at it, you just think about the thought and not the words or the structure. So that's what we do with music as well. Okay, so this is, oh, and the second thing on this is this also has these rolls. These rolls are hard. And so one thing that I do with, like, you know, I'm going through these to do the videos, of course. And one thing that I'll do, like, the single notes are very easy for me. You know, everything in probably almost the first 8 books is very easy for me. But that doesn't mean that there's really hard stuff that I don't know or can't do well. So for instance, these rolls, for some of you, might be very hard. So when you're doing these exercises, you can really hammer those rolls so that you're, instead of you're doing, or here, you know, instead of, you hear how muddy that sounds when I do that. So I'm trying to roll my way through. You might not be able to do that very well at this point. Don't worry about it, but have it in the back of your mind that that's something that's important, something you want to think about. All right, the other thing on this is I use this to practice techniques that I'm, like I said, not as good at. So for instance, I'm going to let you do on this arpeggio, go up to the high note, because that's sort of part of the arpeggio, but it doesn't show itself in that shape. But I've been working a little bit on doing some my sweep picking stuff, because I'm not very good at sweep picking. So I'll take like a little pattern. Let's say that I'm going, in this case, we're going to go from G up to D, and then we're going to do A minor and C, but I'm going to treat A minor and C as the same thing. So in this particular instance, I'm going to do the G arpeggio, D arpeggio, and just the C arpeggio. And you'll hear, if I play this A sound, you can hear all those notes work. Why? Well, A minor 7 and C are basically the same chord. So C is C, E, and G, and A minor is A, C, E, and G. So that's why they sound the same, and why I'll sort of stretch your ears a little bit with some of the way that I do this, playing an arpeggio over like a wrong chord per se. Okay, so what I'll do sometimes, though, is, let's say I'm working on that as a pattern. I might do a, or something like that, where I'm trying to get, you know, a little, I'll double these things up, or, you know, maybe you'll do 2 notes per string. Right hand picking together, and that's a hard thing to do, or you'll do triplets. her. Whatever it is that you're working on, and no matter how advanced a player you are, some of this might seem very simplistic, but you can push yourself by doing the things that you're not good at on this. The other thing for you advanced players, you can do every other note type of thing, You can work on your sweeping, like I said. You can bend notes if you want, but you only really have one good bend note, which is this guy. It's not really in this exercise, though, so I wouldn't do that very much. Okay, again, what we're going to do is on the G chord, you're going to do the G arpeggio. On the D chord, you're going to do the D arpeggio. On the A minor, you're going to do C major. And on the C major, you're going to do the C major. And I'm going to do a quick demo of what you can do on this, and then it'll be your turn to go.